there, and welcome back to another episode of Home Tech. Jason Griffin here, glad to be back with you, and as usual, joined by Seth Johnson. Seth, how are you?
Good, man. Is this thing on? How do we do this?
I know, it feels like it's been a while. I have to say that things are great here and no regrets, but I will say that I was kind of sad that we missed an episode last week. We almost made it a full year without missing a single week, but alas, the Thanksgiving holiday and the birth of my first child took precedence, rightfully so, and I'm happy to be back here recording this episode with you.
Yeah, I think our Thursday night recording session is going to get interrupted a couple more times, I think. Well, it looks like this year, usually Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's fall on Thursday this year, right?
Yeah, we're going to have to be a little bit flexible in our scheduling here. We'll definitely try to keep getting the episodes out every Monday, though.
Cool, man. As long as you're getting sleep, that's all that matters right now. Yeah,
sleep is a forlorn hope at this point, but I'll survive.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm excited to be back, and this was I think an episode that we were both very excited to share with the audience. We had Tim McInerney from Savant. He's the director of product marketing over there, and we've been excited to get him on the show ever since Cedia to talk about the new app and everything those guys have going on. And so we're very excited to share that with our audience.
Yeah, definitely. And you can find the show notes for this episode at HomeTech.fm/shows/42. We're up to 42 now. So maybe I guess we're going to be 1 week delayed on our year's anniversary, I guess.
Indeed.
Yeah, not too bad. Oh, well.
But yeah, we just also want to, of course, again, just thank everybody for listening, for taking the time to tune in. We really do appreciate it. We really enjoy doing the show, and all the feedback that we're getting really goes a long ways. If you want to take a moment to leave us some feedback, leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher, we would greatly appreciate that. You can also just stop by the website at HomeTech.fm and drop a comment there in the feedback form. We'd love to hear from you. Definitely.
It's always great to get any suggestions that you have, or just any comment that you have. You want to drop in a note or anything to us. That's a great place to do it. Also, give us a good review on iTunes if you'd like. we appreciate the stars and any positive feedback you may have. It's always appreciated.
Definitely. Well, in addition to our interview that we're looking forward to sharing, there was a couple of stories we wanted to talk about, and I feel like we're kind of stepping into Mike Wolf territory here today. We got a couple of money stories, but they're both kind of stories that are near and dear to us as integrators, and we wanted to kind of give our take on those. And the first one is the recent funding by Sonos, an additional $130 million, which is no small amount of money.
Yeah, when I read this, it was I think a TechCrunch report last week, and they've since updated it. When I read it, it looked like they were taking on more investment, which would have brought them up to like $500 million in investment, which didn't make any sense. But now it looks like that's just some kind of liquidity program they're doing for employees. So they're allowing people, I guess, to cash out. I have no idea how any of that works, but it sounds complicated, and a lot of money is involved. But it looks like they are raising $130 million to do something, to run the company and do maybe some more marketing, I guess. Maybe some new products we'll see from them. So
I'm with you. It's not really understanding kind of how all that works, but it's still an interesting story nonetheless, because I don't think you have to understand the money side or even be interested in the money side for this to be an interesting story. I think the real takeaway of this, when I look at it, is just, Sonos is getting so much traction, and this is a company that just makes a pretty specialized little part that just does one thing, but does it very, very well. And it's something that integrators have been really embracing, and to see it getting this sort of traction and attention from investors, and now I'm starting to see Sonos billboards all over Los Angeles, and even seeing some Sonos advertising like on TV during kind of prime time advertising slots that can't be cheap. It's really they're being aggressive, and I'm happy to see it. I mean, I think it's a great product, and I'm glad to see that they're having this sort of success.
Yeah, they actually had a Super Bowl ad last year, so maybe some of this money will end up there too again. But they have been doing a really good job of getting on, like I see them all the time, like on ESPN, and I think I watched The Walking Dead, and I noticed that there's commercials when I wasn't skipping through. There were commercials for Sonos and on AMC as well. So they're definitely reaching out to a broader audience for their product and to get their product in front of more people, which is always a good thing when you're trying to make money. Is to get it out there in front of people as soon as possible. But I've also been hearing some rumors that they're going to be opening up a little bit and offering maybe an API here in the future. At least that's the rumor. And I think that's more in direct response from them having competition. We talked about the Hios line. There's a lawsuit going on between Sonos and Denon about that right now. But I think that their eyes were opened a little bit when they saw all the traffic that ran over to look at that new product when they were sitting right there with their award-winning product that's been out 10 years or so. So maybe some of the money will go towards developing new features and new things that are more integrator friendly in the future.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, there are obviously a lot of possibilities here with what they could be doing with the money. But again, I just wanted to talk about it just from a high level that I think it's cool. I think that I'm glad to see that they're having this sort of success. Speaking of money stories, we recently saw a story come across on CE Pro that kind of unveiled here how much money Control4 spent when they recently acquired the driver company Extra Vegetables. And I know this is a story that definitely caught your attention, being the Control4 guru that you are.
Yeah, we were all kind of curious at Cedia, kind of how it went down. We knew that it went down quickly, but wasn't sure exactly, how much the guys got or anything like that. Extra Vegetables is a small company. There was only 3 people working for Extra Vegetables, and it looks like they were paid about $900,000 in cash for the company and all the drivers and IP that went along with it. So that it's a good payday for them. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
I think at the same time, it looks like Control4 got a pretty good deal on it. These guys were making. It looks like they had to disclose their income, and they were making about $1.3 million for the last 12 months, ending January 31st, 2014. So in a 12-month period, they were doing $1.3 million. Selling software for Control4 systems.
Yeah, not
holy
bad, right?
cow! Yeah, that's way, way, way crazier. But I mean, I think you pointed out in the when we were talking about this before we started recording, was that it's probably all Sonos drivers, right?
Yeah. I mean, the article that I was reading, it kind of alludes to the fact that the bulk of their revenue was made off of one particular driver. They don't actually mention in the story that it was the Sonos one, but to me, it seems pretty obvious. I mean, that was a hugely popular driver because it was for a long time, I mean, I think kind of still is, right? The only way that I know of to take Sonos and make it a more integration-friendly product. And so it actually gave you the ability as the programmer or the end user to have all the functionality of Sonos, but keep all of the feedback and control within your Control4 app. And they did a good job on it. I mean, it was one of those products that as an integrator, I'll admit, I was a little bit hesitant to use during my time with the Control4 firm, just because you're always worried about supporting it, right? I mean, that's something that as integrators we're constantly having to worry about. But the couple of times that I did use it, I was sold on it. I mean, it worked very well. It did exactly what it said it would do, and their support was good. And I think that they deserve a payday, which is what they got here. But yeah, it does seem like Control4 got a pretty good deal. I mean, again, not a money guy. I don't know like how the multiples work and how your company is, how your valuation is kind of worked up. But yeah, 1.3 million in revenues, and they were acquired for 900,000. Either way, these guys were doing very well, and I wish them continued success.
Yeah, so some of the sad news that comes out of that is that one of the best things they had was a driver store where independent developers like myself could go on and sell drivers for Control4 systems, and you could use a licensing mechanism that they had to update your drivers, and then those updates would get pushed down to the end users' controllers. And I'm not sure there's anything else out there. I can't think of any other control system that can even do something remotely like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, I know that is shutting down. So they will be shutting that store down at the end of the year here, December 31st. And we will no longer have that ability to sell through the Extra Vegetable stores. The guys, just about everybody except for myself, have moved over to another company called House Logics, and they're all you can find. If you're in the Control4 world, you can find Alan Chow's drivers there. You can find everybody else's that's selling there. And I'll be moving over there shortly. I just been kind of busy lately, so
yeah. Right on. Well, yeah, interesting stories, no doubt. And I think with that, we can jump into our interview here. Again, we had Tim McInerney, who's the director of product marketing from Savant, on the show, and we really, we talked about Savant from a high level. And for people who aren't familiar with it, we kind of talked about their general product offerings. But really, like, the primary focus of this interview was to talk about their recent new app that they put out and kind of the rebranding that they did. And it was a great conversation. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. And like we've said a number of times, and probably in the interview a couple more times, it is an amazing app. It is kind of what we really need. It's a breath of fresh air in this industry to see what these guys have come up with. And I'm super excited. I'm hoping to get my hands on a Savant system one of these days and play around with it and see what I can do with it, because it's a pretty cool system.
Yeah, I'm a fan, and I was telling Tim after the interview, we were just chatting, and we are actually deploying one of our first systems here in Los Angeles using the new app. And I was saying that we're deploying it for a client who is particularly non-technical, so I think it'll be a good litmus test for the new app. I've played around with it in the field, and it is very user-friendly, very intuitive, and I think they did a great job on it. So without any further ado here, we will present our interview with Tim McInerney, and thanks again for listening. We are pleased to welcome Tim McInerney, Director of Product Marketing from Savant, onto the show. Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on, and we're very excited to talk Savant with you. Seth and I were both out at CEDIA this year, and we're really excited about what we saw from the company. I am a longtime Savant guy. Seth is not, and so I think that'll make for a good conversation. Seth can kind of hopefully learn a thing or two from the conversation, and I look forward to diving into some of the details with you. So before we jump into Savant and kind of the details of what you guys have going on right now, maybe you can give our audience just like a brief personal introduction and maybe some of your background, possibly even going back prior to Savant.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I've been at Savant now for almost 9 years, 8.5 years at this point. The company's been in business for about 10 years at this point. We've been shipping product for, 7.5 years. Before I came to Savant, my background is in engineering. I actually worked for a web services company that was purchased by Oracle back a couple years ago, back in the .com era boom. We used to make very large websites for places like MTV and Best Buy and J. Crew and places where you needed, back in the day, to have, a personal experience on a website where you'd go and it would remember who you were. Even though you might be talking to one of 100 different websites, out there, servers, the cloud, I guess you'd call it nowadays.
Right.
Back then, that was the most amazing
magic.
Thing ever. You go back to the site and the thing you were going to buy is still in your cart. It's incredible. And I worked for a company that made that technology possible before getting into the home automation space. But I've always been that that gadget nerd that I think a lot of us. I don't want to typecast you guys, but before coming to Savant and realizing what was really possible, I had DVI cables running through my walls before I knew you could do extension over different types of cables, and trying to extend USB to get a keyboard from the living room into the office through the basement by taping together 5 different USB cables with active repeaters, just trying to make stuff work before I knew what was really possible in the space. So I'm a longtime tinkerer from that perspective.
Yeah, I don't think you can typecast this. I think the shoe fits pretty well.
Yeah,
here,
I figured so. Exactly.
So I guess It sounds like you've been at Savant for quite a long time. I guess, can you just give a brief history of what Savant is, where it came from, and kind of just the company background?
Yeah, sure. No, like I said, we've been in business for almost 10 years at this point. It was founded by a couple of, technology pioneers that did very well in the telecommunications space. They'd founded a company called Excel Switching here in Massachusetts that was sold to Lucent back, again, during the dot-com boom. I think it was in 99, and made quite a bit of money for themselves. And a bunch of them, separately had gone out and had, either home automation put in to one of their homes or attempted to put a home theater onto their home, really kind of taking advantage of, some of the money they'd made. And they pretty quickly found that it was much more expensive, much harder. One of the founders had, he used to joke, but he was serious. He actually carved out a space in his refrigerator for the programmer, for the system, because the guy had to come back so many times because he'd ask for a small change. And like, oh, well, that's going to be, 2 weeks worth of coding to make that happen. And really, from what they had done in the telephony and, telephony switching industry, which was, really kind of, invent IP-based switching, the ability to have a hardware telephony switch controlled by a computer. Again, back in the day, that was an amazing thing, but it really opened up the avenues of having, voicemail or phone trees or, things that you just couldn't do before, and inexpensive international calls. They did that by marrying a computer with the hardware, where you could go on the computer and you could kind of do a drag and drop interface to program this very expensive telephony switch to be able to, do, tens of thousands of international and domestic calls at a time, route them all correctly, all configurable through a computer. And when they looked at what was happening when someone was trying to program their house by writing line code, they said, this is crazy. We should be able to use those same kind of drag and drop, simple configuration, and even automated configuration tools. Why don't they exist for the home control space? And after, kind of a quick look around, they realized that all of the players that were in the industry at that time were pretty much using that same technique. Yeah. And they quickly realized they could take advantage of that and fix it, and really kind of bring this industry to the next level. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I think that most people are familiar today with kind of a drag and drop approach to configuration and setup of a home or entertainment system. But what they don't realize, even just 10 years ago, was that you were quite literally writing code line by line to make the system do exactly what you wanted it to do. And it took nearly a computer science degree to make that work properly and reliably. You were hiring a programmer, somebody who came from a programming background. It wasn't somebody who could drag and drop something. And now, thanks to Savant, Control4, and some of the other universal type remote stuff, it's a lot easier, and the barrier to entry, I guess, is come down in the last 10 years, to the point where you're seeing small point solutions being easy to set up. It's amazing how it's only been a decade. It's amazing how far this has gone, right?
It's so fast. Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously Savant is a control system, but I guess, can you just kind of give a high-level overview of some of the other products? Because I know it's not just control you guys offer. You offer quite a few other solutions, like lighting and audio.
Sure, yeah. We do audio, video switching, large-scale switches that, I think we have one that can do up to 144 zones of audio, which, we kind of, some of our terminology, we say, we've put in some of the largest, mansions, castles, yachts in the world, to do very high level audio switching, video switching as well. We do have lighting. We actually acquired a company called Light Touch, which was one of the original innovators. There's, a large number of patents that Light Touch holds, I think going 20, 30 years back on a lot of solid state dimming technology. That we acquired, I believe it was 3 years ago, maybe 4. I'd have to check. But we do a lot of video switching from a standpoint of being able to put one of our products called Smart View Tiling. Maybe you've seen it. You could put up to 9 different sources on one display.
Oh yeah, that thing's amazing.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But the bigger, the real claim to fame of it is that it's the interface. People have been putting up multiple windows. There's been picture in picture forever. But the problem was, well, gee, how do I, once I get more than one picture up there, how do I accurately control it? And that's really where we've focused a lot of our efforts is on that user interface side. That really, at the end of the day, it's the satisfaction of the person using the system that, from an integrator standpoint, is going to drive more sales. From a hardware manufacturer, is going to drive more customers to our solutions. And having that interface like we have for Smart View Tiling, where we basically just mirror what's on the TV. Here's your 9 sources, and here's what they all are, clearly labeled. And you want to make that one bigger? Great, just double tap on it, or pinch and zoom. Or you want to switch 2 of them or move the audio around? You just grab it and pick it and drag it, and it makes it so easy for the end user, where they could never really do that before. That it was always complicated. You had to kind of know the magic of the interface. Now, really, anybody can walk right up to it and say, "Oh my God, I can just do it really quickly," and that really makes a difference.
Yeah, I think there's probably a YouTube video out there we can link in the show notes on this episode. But yeah, if anybody hasn't seen that, definitely go check out how this thing works. It is as close as that the video wall in Back to the Future could possibly be, except done way better. Like it's amazing. It's amazing.
It's right there on your iPad too.
Yeah, and I do think you guys have done a great job with the user interface on that. Speaking of user interfaces, I think we should kind of jump into the meat and potatoes here. We really wanted to get you on right now, especially because of the recent big unveiling at CEDIA. Seth and I both talked a lot about it on previous episodes of Home Tech. And a lot of my colleagues in the industry all agree that we kind of felt like Savant almost stole the show at CEDIA this year with the new unveiling. And the new app is gorgeous. And I know you guys have a ton of cool stuff going on. Before we jump into some of the details about the new app and kind of what you guys have cooking, I was wondering if you could just talk a little about maybe all of the work that's kind of gone into it and how long you guys have been at it, because this new app was a major I would say upgrade, but a major overhaul in any event to the Savant user interface. And I know you guys also put up a brand new website, and there was kind of, felt like some new branding going on. And can you just talk from a high level about, it seems like you guys have been very busy. Can you shed some light on that?
Sure. Yeah, no, we have actually been quite busy. We've been talking, really that user interface. I remember it was almost 2.5 years ago when we first kind of unveiled some of the concepts at one of our integrator conferences to kind of go through really kind of like a high level view of what we were looking to do. And it's been in development, for a long time with the promise of making it simple and easy for people to do what they really want to do. Was kind of the premise behind it that, a lot of the home control and home automation previously has been, hey, there's a thing over there and it's on the wall, and I want to do something to that thing. I want to control that thermostat, or I want to control my lights, or I want to control that TV. And we kind of take another approach, and we say, well, that's not really what you want to do. You want to actually watch Netflix, or you want to cook dinner, and being able to tie all of the different subsystems in a home together is one thing, and that's something we've always been really good at. But then giving the user the ability to do all that with really one button press was what really drove that interface. And with it, the decision to do kind of a rebranding of the company away from a kind of the old brand was little technical kind of a techie look to really this modern, elegant. Hey, we're really going to bring your home. We're calling it your Savant home to the next level. We wanted the brand to reflect that. So yeah, we have been quite busy. The user interface has been a large team of people working on it for a lot of time, a lot of iterations, a lot of alpha testing, a lot of beta testing, a lot of getting feedback from both end users and integrators. to really to bring that to market in the way that we have. And like you said, it did kind of steal the show at CEDIA, and that's great. That's what we wanted, and that's at the end of the day what really this smart home industry needs is it's not about those solutions. People do want those, but at the end of the day, they really want their lives to be better. That's why anyone really wants a smart home or to put in smart home technology. They want their life to be easier, not more complicated. And that was kind of one of the driving forces behind that app.
Yeah, and I think I saw all the Savant T-shirts kind of walking around on the show floor, and I saw the messaging. I believe it was like the single app home or a single app home with Savant. And I thought that was, clever messaging. And I think the idea behind that is to convey that, like, you do have all these point solutions coming to market, but really what differentiates a system like Savant from, these point solutions is that it's actually simplifying the technology and giving you access to all of this within a single app. And I thought that was a very effective branding personally. So speaking of the apps in particular, I'd like to jump into that, but again, before we get technical, just want to clear up some terminology. And for people who are familiar with Savant like myself, we may understand this, but just for the sake of, for the benefit of people who may not be, I see you guys are calling the new app on the website kind of the Savant app. And then in other places, you will refer to True Control, which is kind of the previous generation of the Control app. So can you just talk generally about the terminology and the difference between those two terms and apps? Yeah,
sure. True Control is the app that we really kind of grew with. It was released. I think the True Control app, we released it the same day the original iPad came out 6 years ago. I'd have to go back and look. And really the idea behind it was, hey, here's a completely customizable experience for the integrator to say, here's kind of a framework to let you automatically, and again using our Savant Blueprint software where you drag and drop everything and you plug it all in and say, hey, this is on this Wi-Fi network, this is connected here, do all those bits and pieces, hit generate, and all the code to build that interface is just done for you. But it's still customizable to the integrator, to the installer at the end of the day to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to delete these buttons, I'm going to move these buttons, I'm going to add some screens, I'm going to change all the, channel up down buttons to football helmets or whatever my client wants. And that is still absolutely available. It's still on the App Store. We have plans to update that with a new look and feel as well, but keep that kind of, similar, fully customizable kind of handcrafted experience for the integrator in True Control. But we really decided to say, hey, you know what? We're going to make this new app that is, more personalizable to the end user. We're going to give them kind of use the Apple term for the App Store, a walled garden for them to kind of play in, where certain things are possible. I can add buttons, or I can add commands, I can remove commands, I can reorder some of them, I can move the rooms around. But we spent so much time making that interface and testing how people use it and live with it and how it would work in their home, that we said, hey, let's keep that interface kind of consistent so that people can have that consistent experience in their home or across multiple homes. And we decided, hey, we're going to call that one the Savant app, because that is really kind of what the word, the definition of Savant is, a learned, very experienced expert at pretty much everything. And we decided that instead of coming up with a new name for it, we really wanted to stick with our current brand. But at the same time, for integrators, pro level, high level integrators who want to do that kind of custom crafted experience, True Control is still there. And we decided not to rebrand that or make people learn a new term for that, but just to say, hey, this is what's been out there for a while. That's still great, but we have this other experience with all these kind of new features and new pieces to it. And decided to give that new name, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. So just to kind of summarize that, the True Control is being updated. The older app is being updated and will continue to be supported in the future alongside with the Savant app. Oh, okay, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So really to give those choices to both the really for the integrator to say, hey, for your customer, what's best for them? Do you want, do they want that handcrafted, fully custom experience? They're going to pay money for you to actually go in and do it. Then great, use True Control, and it's going to get an updated look and feel next year. Or, at the same time, hey, here's this Savant app. That's the drop it in, hand it to the homeowner and let them, configure it, let them personalize it. Or again, you can, as an integrator, you can do it as a white glove service for people as well. So we wanted to give kind of all those options and experiences. Hey, I'm that do-it-yourselfer. I got to do it all myself. But make sure that the rules are all there so the end customer can't get their system into a state that they don't like it or it hurts or doesn't work. That's how we kind of crafted that app. But for the professional integrator who really wants to take it to the next level, or that customer who's willing to pay for a fully custom experience, you can still do that with True Control.
So that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's one of the things that has bugged me so much is that there's like a very inconsistent feel and look to the control apps that are out there from like a residence to residence. And I think one of the things I was most impressed with at CEDIA was looking at the Savant app was how well everything was either organized. I'm not sure how I want to say it, but it was very well designed and well thought out from, like you were saying, what somebody wants to do rather than kind of what an integrator thinks they want to do. And then they have the option as an end user to kind of customize and move stuff around. So I call that lifestyle programming. Like that's something that as an integrator you don't know, you won't find out unless you have a nice little place carved out in the fridge for for you. It's just not something that you're going to figure out without being there and living in that house and programming those lifestyle events in. And I think it's great that you guys have come up with a way that the end user actually has some power and control back over the system that they purchased, because I'm not seeing a lot of that movement in our industry, and I'm seeing it outside of our industry, and it's kind of upsetting to see that happen. Things like smart things, like the big Samsung now, owned by Samsung, Google Nest. I mean, there's all these little end user solutions that have a better end user feel to them because they have some control or some ability to go in and customize and tweak if they want to, and if not, this stuff just sits there and works. But I'm just not seeing that in our industry until I saw what you guys were showing off this year at CEDIA, and that impressed me above all the other stuff that was going on the showroom floor.
No, that's great, because that's really not only what we're going for, but we did a lot of research ahead of time, talking to consumers, talking to integrators, and say, hey, what are the biggest pain points for, what you don't like about, the home control system you have today? And, for an integrator, what's the biggest pain points for installing it? And a lot of the time it was after, it worked great the day I got it and I liked it. But then I quickly learned that I wanted to do something different. I wanted to change that light, or I wanted to add a light, or I wanted to add a scene, or I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to tweak something. And I love my integrator, but I called them up and they said it's going to cost me X amount of dollars. And the integrators at the same time, like, oh man, I got to roll a truck to this guy, or even if I do it remotely, I got to test it, and it's going to cost a lot of money. And really nobody wins in that scenario, because the homeowner's not really happy because they have to wait for it. I got to wait a week. The party's tomorrow or it's tonight. And the integrator at the same time is like, I'm not going to make any money off tweaking, one scene in this guy's system. I'm going to have to charge him, and then he's not going to give me that referral, so I got to figure something out. And we listened to that feedback and said, gee, how can we fix that? How can we make it so that the integrator can do what they do best, which is make the system work for that home, make it perfect for that house, but then let that end user give them that control. Or if the end user doesn't want it, there's a lot of end users who don't want that. They're still going to call you up and say, hey, can you make a scene for me for this? And you can still do it. You can log right in the app remotely through our Savant Plus service and go and make that scene for them in the same interface they did, or tweak the one they already made. And really giving them that power, came from, a lot of time and a lot of research of what people really wanted. And that's great to hear that you appreciate that.
No, definitely. And I've got one quick question about how well the Savant app works with maybe multiple users. So if my wife wants to have an interface on her iPhone, and I want to have a different interface or a different setup on my iPad. Do you guys handle that very well, or how do you handle that? I guess is how I should ask that.
Oh no, absolutely. It's through user management you can have on the system. Depends on how you want to set it up. Some people will want one user in the home, everyone to share that kind of same common interface. Where if I make a scene on my device, it stays on my device, or is shared everywhere so that everybody can see it. Or separate users where you will have one set of stuff and your wife might have another stuff. Your wife may have another set of stuff, but your kids maybe have a much more limited access. Of course, depending on their age, you may not want them to have access to the TV or a certain room or something like that. And we give that kind of fine-grained, granular control if the user wants that. Or they can have everything the same. Everybody, if I had a scene on my phone, everybody gets that scene, kind of shared. So we kind of tried to make it so that the user, through the integrator helping, can make that choice.
Cool. So I want kind of go back to like one thing you just said a minute ago, Savant Plus. What is that? I'm from a completely different background. We're primarily a Control4 dealer here, but definitely have interest in Savant too. But it's just. We've been doing that for a number of years now, so that's everybody has their niche, I guess.
Yeah, that's okay.
So what's Savant Plus?
I don't hold it against you.
Yeah,
at all.
I know that's that's where it was going.
So Savant Plus is our cloud-based services option. It's a premium service on top of your Savant system. It's right now with this first release, it's remote access. So instead of having having to fiddle with networks and poke holes in firewalls or, do any of that kind of stuff that, you can do with the True Control version of the app. We said, hey, with this kind of, personalized experience that people get with the new Savant app, we want to make it even easier. So it's a cloud-based service. It's secure, encrypted, remote access today so that you can access your Savant system from anywhere. It is free to start, but after 90 days of use, there is a charge for that. I believe it's $150 a year, but that gives full remote access to everyone. That has a device that's registered with that home, so that you don't have to pay one charge for you and one for your wife and one for your kids. It's per system and per home. In the future, in a release we're going to be doing early next year, we're going to have notifications in there as well, so that you can get access notifications, security notifications, things that are going on inside your home will be able to bubble up to your directly to your device, or send you a message through your favorite messaging system to be able to give you more info. And we plan on adding more and more, kind of cloud-based services to that going forward, but for that one, kind of price that, hey, if you want to use your Savant system and you want to have it in your home and there's no extra, recurring charge for that, but if you want these kind of value-added add-on services, that's your Savant Plus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. That makes perfect sense. So we've talked a lot about the new app, and obviously I think we're both very excited about it, Seth and I. For Savant dealers, I know that a particular question I have is if I have a deployed user base that are all running, like a version 6 system, and I want to get them updated to version 7, are there fees to update to that to make that jump from 6 to 7?
No, there isn't. We decided that, because of the magnitude of the app and really wanting everybody to have access to it, we decided, no, there's not going to be any upgrade charge from going to a 6.0 installed system to 7.
Okay.
In addition, too, to get people used to it, because, again, someone may be living in their home, they're used to True Control, they love it, but they want to try the Savant app. Once you upgrade that house to 7.0, both apps work. So
cool.
They can get that, their old experience, and they can play around with the new one, see if they like it. Maybe the husband likes one and the wife likes the other, and that's great. They can use both.
Yeah, that's very cool. I think that's smart. Our programmer here at our firm, went to one of your trainings recently and kind of sent out a briefing to the company, and that was one of the things that he pointed out, and that caught my attention. I think that's a smart move because we do have a large user base of clients who are very comfortable with version 6, and there may be one or two members of the house that are eager to jump onto the new Savant app, but you may have other users in the house who, would only be dragged kicking and screaming into a new user interface. So I think that was smart of you guys. Speaking of kind of things from the integrator side, as part of your release here, are you making any changes to Blueprint, which is the software programming environment? Are there any kind of changes under the hood there that's going to make life maybe easier for the programmers?
Yeah, there are some significant improvements there with Blueprint. One is that, like I said earlier, we acquired a company called Light Touch a bunch of years ago, and they had their own tool set called Lightware for programming lighting inside their environment. And so for a while, if you wanted to do Savant lighting, you had to learn kind of two interfaces. We rolled much of the functionality from that into Blueprint this time around. So if you want to use Savant Wi-Fi lighting, you don't have to get out of Blueprint. If you already know Blueprint, it's all there now, and you can set up those Wi-Fi lighting keypads, directly inside of Blueprint. A couple other, kind of additions and changes. Obviously, our profile database grows every time we put out a new release of devices that we support. So that's, obviously, a big upgrade there as well. As well as, from an insider point of view, you probably, remember the state trigger interface, which was really how you did kind of if-then-else programming previously. In Blueprint, there were a bunch of steps to it. You had to go to some different screens and kind of know some inside baseball to get to some of the kind of thornier, if-then logic statements to work. We've made that much simpler in the new interface. So it's really, right all in front of you. It's really easy to use if you want to do things like, astronomical, clock type events, things like that. In Blueprint, meaning, hey, I don't want my end user to do that personalized on their app. There's stuff I want to do, that's going to happen every day. And I'm going to program that because, we design the system around these certain functions. You can do that much easier now in Blueprint. So, yeah, we're constantly making improvements there to really make integrators' lives, really easier.
Very cool. Very cool. So, what I guess we're kind of running low on our time here. I just want to kind of jump here towards the end and say, just ask you, what's next for Savant? What are you guys getting excited about these days?
Oh man, I wish I could tell you.
Come
on. Well, like I said, that we've been working on that app for a couple of years now. There's some other things that are in the works that I can't tell you about. But look into the future. We are really, really trying to make everyone's life easier, both from an integrator standpoint, because at the end of the day, we look at this industry and the channel and really the entire consumer market from the standpoint that people want it to be easy. They want it to work. They want it to be quick to configure and quick to set up and not have to think about it. And, we're really looking at more things in the future. Some things I can tell you about are, some predictive analysis type of possibilities where, really you want your home to notice what you're doing on a regular basis. Say, hey, by the way, I noticed every day, you do the same thing, or every weekday the same thing happens. Do you really want to do that? Do you want to make that an automated? Do you want to make a scene, basically, instead of saying, hey, I'm going to go create a scene for my morning every day? The app will be able to prompt some features there. So we're looking at some of that stuff. But obviously, again, new products, and we're always coming out with new innovations. So we're going to have a lot of cool stuff on the horizon.
Very cool. Well, we may just have to have you on Home Tech again. It sounds like you guys have some stuff in the pipeline there. So, Tim, we definitely do want to thank you for taking the time to come on to Home Tech. I really enjoyed the conversation. For anyone who's listening who might want to learn more about Savant and maybe just connect with you to maybe ask you a question, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Sure. Well, obviously you can go to Savant.com where, you can find an integrator. You can learn more about Savant, learn more about our solutions. from a connection standpoint, look for Savant on all the major social media networks. We're on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, you name it. We're out there, and definitely feel free to message Savant, and I'll get that as well.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks again for taking the time to join us, Tim, and we will let you go.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, take care.
All right, thanks.